Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday to one and to all. Perhaps it is Wednesday, depending upon where you are on the globe. As an opening, please make sure you give yourselves a round of applause for making it to and through another day, because as we know, not everyone was able to do that, and not everyone will be able to do that tomorrow, because we do know, or should know, that life is truly short. Um, Given my current situation, looks like I don't have a whole lot of time. So, that being said, I don't have anything to lose. Now, I've sat back and really kept quiet, even though it angered me to hear you disrespect Supa and then Ms Coco. I'll just say Ms Coco B. I don't know all the dynamics, but being a woman of color, I didn't appreciate it whatsoever. And I understand your position, but it is not like you have not been aware of what people have been trying to say to you and stress to you over the years. And I'm sorry, even though, and I understand why, many times I'm left out of the loop, but, I've been around just as long as some of the other people, and actually privy to some of the things that people still don't know. You get online when you do go live and you rehash the same things over and over and over ad nauseum. You continue to get timelines wrong, and then you put things out there that are not accurate. You go, or it seems like you tend to go and listen to other people just because they may be more visible, that they may have more people come over, which again, that absolutely, I have no problem with that. Sometimes it's been, actually I had to block Nightbot because he was blocking a few people that came over, but Nightbot and myself established a very good relationship, so I was happy with that. So I don't have to have a huge amount of people listening. That's not important to me. Health and just being happy for the time that I have left and doing what it is I'm committed to is what is, it is my goal. And if anyone can glean something positive from that, fine. But if I see something that is wrong, I'm going to have to call it out, and I'm going to try to be as respectful as possible, but I may not be successful this go round. That being said, you keep, in my opinion, referencing someone who passed away, who was your dear friend, and I understand that, and my condolences, and may she try to rest in peace. But it seems as though, to me, you keep exhuming her soul for, in my opinion, your purposes. Well, let me tell you something, Patch. Let me tell you something, Patch. She and I had conversations. We exchanged messages as well as actual communications. And there were a couple of people mentioned with whom she adored. Guess what? Your name wasn't mentioned. As a matter of fact, in none of the communications that we've had, your name was never mentioned. So you may have felt this adoration and love, and that was my dear friend. But, sir, do you? think that that was really reciprocated? Do you believe that it was really reciprocated? It was said that there were attacks, and I'm going to assume verbal, by 23 men and women. I cannot speak to the validity of that because I don't know. But, but, again, let's refer to the timeline and where this face of cyberbullying came in. Um, I kind of like with someone else, we're kind of like the first two, even though someone else overshined me, which is absolutely fine. But I don't know if you were privy to a lot of things. I put a lot of things up back in the day, but I don't know if you were actually privy to all of that. And one of the conversations we had was your friend didn't know that I was the one they referred to as Lupus Lady. They thought I was a character. Now, no disrespect, but if you're teaching people about culture and what it means to be Asiatic, how in the hell are you going to sit there with a straight face and think that anyone that thinks that someone with a serious disease, you have credence in that? Most people in this sector, whether they type in your chats or not, they pretty much know what nicknames are put onto people. You've been called a particular, um, I'll just say, lunch item. I'm not going to use the country, so I'm going to call you manwich out of respect. But I do not like how you disrespected Supa and Ms Coco. I don't like the fact that you refer to them as the C word because honestly, sir, that is what, in my opinion, you have growing out the side of your face with a little bit of hair around it. It might be time for you to go get a Brazilian wax for that area because it doesn't look good. Okay? You think that it's okay and you've had it for a while. Again, human to human person with someone that is dealing with something that I didn't know about until the last minute, it would probably be in your best interest to go get that checked out. No growth like that it is a good thing. And I'm sorry for stumbling, but it is hot as hell out here. And unlike some people, I actually still work despite my challenges every day, every single day. I don't receive a check. And that's another thing. Let's go back to integrity, something that you like to push. One of the conversations that we had was if I received disability, and the answer was no. I told her that I was denied twice. The advice given to me was, well, the next time you apply for it, if you apply for it, you may want to posture something as, I'm so depressed that I haven't taken a shower or bathed in about 3 days, and I can smell myself now. Now, I am not saying that this was done to obtain a check, but the mere fact it was suggested to me, and it's just me, does not speak to being one of high integrity. See, there are a lot of people that are in certain positions, and I've said this before, they can wear robes, they can wear the white coats, but that doesn't mean at the end of the day, they don't have some, I'm just going to say shit with them. So again, this is no disrespect, but I'm just letting you know just a modicum of conversation that we had. So you might want to be careful when you keep talking about this love that you shared. Maybe you did, but it may not have been as equal as you may have thunk it to be. And of course, I know the correct pronunciation, but I just feel like being like some people today. And that's the word I'm going to use. Next, most of you know that I am not a fan of Miss Royalty. But what I'm not going to allow, as you have said, it to come out that uh, someone is being lied on. You have said a couple times now. I think this has been a scam. Now, do people scam on social media? Absolutely. Yes, they do. I was called a scammer at one time, even though I wasn't, but yes, they do. But what has pissed me off with you, again, you said this twice now, that you believed that a certain person was right and that there was no court case between, I'll just say, Miss Royalty and uh, either current or former owner of a Hellcat. You believe that there was no case. It was just a plot or ploy to get followers or supporters funds. Well, let me tell you something, Patchy. Just because you and someone else who put that out there don't know where to go to obtain that information doesn't mean that it didn't happen. And I hope I am not overstepping the boundaries of either one of these people. I'm not giving out information that's not really public. But again, you have to know where to go. Next, if you were paying attention way back, way back in 2022, Miss Royalty actually put up what was filed and the case number and the jurisdiction for where information could be found was right on there. You just had to take your hairy little fingers, your stubby little fingers, chipmunk, and dial a particular number. Talk to the clerk's office. See what you don't know. And I'm gonna let you know now. Again, I'm not releasing any um, case numbers. I'm not going to do that. Go back. Just go back. I don't even know if that's up right now, but it's probably gone. But there are two cases, sir. So what you said earlier, that it was a scam, and you didn't believe that there were no court proceedings, let me let you know the actuals. April 18th, it was dismissed. And let me say this to you. NSC, there are no temporary restraining orders. So let's be clear on the laws in certain places. Again, NSC, there are no temporary restraining orders. Let's think about that. You have a huge bald head, okay? So use it for something other than gossiping. It was dismissed April 18th. Again, there was a certain document that was put up and it wasn't doctored or altered. See, again, I told you, and I've told a lot of people, I have a whole lot in my arsenal. And if I decide, or if I think my time is imminent, The fireworks that many people experienced a couple of weeks ago would be nothing like what I have. But I try to leave people alone, and I think I've done a darn good job of it. Second, the second case in 2022 was in favor of the former or current driver of, I'll just say, a cat of hell. That was, again, ruled in favor of that individual. So you have to meet certain criteria for some of these things. And again, I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm a huge fan of anyone. I've learned the power of forgiveness. Are there things being said and done that I agree with? No, not at all. But if I know that something is being said, regardless of how I may feel about a person, and I know it's not true, I have to speak up and say something. So the information that you have and that you've mentioned a couple of times now, you're wrong. You are wrong. There were two cases. One dismissed and the other in favor of the current or former cat of a hell. So please don't continue to say that. And again, I'm going to repeat, just because you don't know how to obtain certain things or where to go, because you have to remember, in a state, there are different jurisdictions, different courts that certain things are held in. You may not see it online automatically, but if you pay attention, and I pay attention, you probably would have caught when they put that document up. As a matter of fact, and I'll give you a hint, there was a beautiful heel that was affixed to a copy of the filing. So for those of you that remember and recall the number and where it was filed, the simple thing, the easiest thing to do would have been to call, speak to the clerk, provide them with the case number, and they will tell you exactly the disposition of both. When something is dismissed, when it relates to restraining orders, there's no winner, there's no loser. It just means enough evidence for the judge or magistrate. I spoke louder to give some of the people in the back a little hint. If it's not strong enough for them to warrant that or issue it, it's going to be dismissed. As far as the 27th being in favor of the defendant, I'm just going to leave that right there for you to do your homework, for you to do your research. A quick telephone call would give you the answers that you're seeking. So please, please stop coming on here, in my opinion, inciting things, brewing things up. Some of these people that are going backwards and forth, and yes, it's ugly. Some of it could really die down, but you were like a net. You're like a agent of confusion. And I have tried, honestly, to give you grace. But as I said, when you called these women out of their names. You call them the B word and then the C word. I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to say anything right now. I'm going to leave it alone. But then you did it again. You learned your lesson about speaking badly on Lady DJ. You learned your lesson with that. But maybe you need to get a notebook and pencil and sit back down and have some more lessons learned. Because obviously you don't get it. Yes, one thing I do agree with, and I don't want anyone to get upset. And if you do, you'll get over it. We're grown. I believe people can go wherever they want to go. But if that person feels a certain way, whatever their responses are, you can't do anything but to respect that. Are they right in that? I can't say that. You can't. You can't tell anybody how to feel. Is there hypocrisy going on? Absolutely. I might have to hold a mirror to myself every now and again. But the difference is, I don't have a problem of admitting it at all. At all. Because for all intents and purposes, depending on how many grains are left in my hourglass today, July the 15th, 2025, I'm technically 3 years from being 60. So I don't have a reason to sit here and lie. I have no reason to sit here and try to flex. I don't have anything to flex on other than my accolades that I absolutely worked hard for, which led me to having to let you know that what you're saying, as far as you're thinking these people scammed and there was no proceeding, it absolutely was. It absolutely was. And if my memory serves correctly, I could be wrong, the individual, the former or current hell of a cat, I believe was wearing pink. I could be wrong. I'm not sure. But I actually have the credentials to know these things for sure. And again, you're wrong. And where you got that information. And I'm going to be fair. I think you said you tend to believe. So I don't know if that's 100% that you believe that, but it's not true. It wasn't true. There was a proceeding. There was a proceeding. Again, dismissed does not mean win or loss. It's just dismissed because there wasn't enough strong evidence to have the type of order that was prayed for granted. Now, as far as the 27th, being in favor of a certain individual, again, I'm going to let you do your research on that, since you want to be a mathematician. You figure it out. You go through your archive of goodies. Again, stop giving misinformation. Stop stirring up things with people. It's enough that is going on already. Or do you not know about that? I'm in the DMV. Do you know that over 27 people in Baltimore OD'd, 5 critical condition? Now, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, and I said this before when I first talked about this story, but it seems mighty strange to me that all of this happened in close proximity of each other and directly across the street from an addiction center, a recovery center. There are people that were saying it may have been a bad batch. Really? A bad batch. A bad batch that got into the hands of 27 people. Or was this a test? Now, if it can happen in Baltimore, we're like 3, 4 hours from Jersey, New York. What if it spills out into the West Coast? This is an epidemic. These are the things people should be really talking about, especially those that know people that are addicted. Because there are people out here that are lacing these things. I've heard reports, and again, I don't know the credence behind it, but I've heard some people say antifreeze and freon. It's crazy. Let's just say all 27 perished. Then what? Has our leader gone to Baltimore? It was like a scene, as I said, from The Wire. These are the things that people should be paying attention to, because many people have family members fighting many, many demons. And I've said this before. So last time, Chipmunk, leave people alone. Just because they may not agree with you and you say you hold people up, especially women. Every time a woman has gone against something you have said, they've been the B word, they've been the C word. If it's that easy for you or anyone else, and this is just my opinion, to let that slip off your tongue when you're angry, who's to say you may not do that to your baby mama or your ex? It's just a thought. It's hot and I'm tired, but I needed to address that because I've held that in for so long. I think, in my opinion, you owe those two women that I spoke about earlier an apology. I really do. But again, you're going to do what you're going to do. That's just you. You're a hypocrite. You enjoy seeing people going at one another. You really need to be careful with the energy that you're putting out because it could come back to you in so many different ways. Find some joy. Take some more pictures of peacocks. Or do you have any other type of animals in that area that you can take pictures of? You need to change up a little bit. I'm just wondering. I get kind of bored looking at the peacock shorts. I want to see something a little bit different because I do watch. I would be disingenuous if I were to say that I didn't. But what I don't like is the name calling to women, and especially women of color. And I absolutely do not appreciate when people are called scammers. Now, there are some scammers in the sector, and their mugshots and what they were accused of doing and the pleas that they took. But I don't know if you'll ever talk about that because maybe they support you. I think that's how that works. You can do anything you want to do. It doesn't matter how diabolical or nefarious it is. If you like them, you turn a blind eye. And in your case, you turn two eyes. They might be in different directions, but you're turning two. Everyone, enjoy the remainder of your Tuesday. Be safe, be well, and please be healthier, not just physically, but mentally too. Now, there's someone in the sector, and I cannot remember who because I've heard it a couple of times now. But manwich, YouTube is ruining your life. I credit that to whomever said that. And with that, I'm gone. I can't say it deep like other people because it might hurt my throat, so I'm gone.